Oli, 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 Oli.
Who's speaking right now?
It's me.
Who's me?
Your inner voice.
Are you kidding me? This is not the time or the place. I'm trying to give a talk. There's 500 people here.
They don't care. Look at them. Most of them are still asleep.
That's fair enough. They probably ate a lot at lunch and they're kind of tired. Why are you bugging me? What's going on?
I just took a look at unbounce.com. What the hell is up with the homepage? It's completely different.
Don't worry. It's a brand new concept. We're calling it a day in the life of a marketer.
Boring.
No. It's going to be great. We'll have cinematic background video. We'll have parallax scrolling and a big promo slider at the top. No. It's going to be really cool. And the best thing, an explainer video.
That sounds bloody awful.
No, did you not hear me? We're going to have right in the middle an explainer video.
What impact is that going to have?
It's going to increase conversions by 20%, guaranteed.
And how on earth do you know that?
Because I read a blog post by an expert.
A blog post? You're such an idiot. You better be running a test on that.
Of course I'm running a test. Who are you talking to?
What if it doesn't win? Are you going to roll back to the old homepage?
Well, no, actually. We spent a lot of time and money on this. I want it on the homepage no matter what.
Are you serious? You sound like a dinosaur.
Shut up.
You shut up.
Oh my God, you're such a child. It's like this all day.
So how is the test going?
It's losing by 10%.
Clearly, it doesn't work.
We need to find a way to make it work.
Yes, but the data says it doesn't.
You know what? Fuck data. That's the theme of my talk today. By the way, my talk has changed. It's not the one that's on the thing, so apologies for that. So that was a conversation I had with myself a while ago, because we put an explainer video on our homepage. And we spent a lot of time, a lot of money, had an actor, film crew, and we were convinced it was going to increase conversions, because how could it not, right? It's explaining what we do. But I was angry. I wasn't angry at the data. I was angry because we didn't do it for the right reason. There wasn't a single piece of anecdotal, qualitative, quantitative insight that suggested we should do it. And the team was really frustrated because at the start of the project, they weren't given any data at all. 67%, did a lot of research, of marketers say they don't have enough data to do their job right. And that's terrible. And that's what causes these kind of problems. But why did we do it? Well, we did it because everyone else was doing it. And every new trend that comes along begins with, well, first of all, you can't use trends, right? Just because it's popular doesn't mean you should be doing it. This is what always happens. You get all these spammy, cold emails. You need an explainer video, followed by 400 blog posts explaining why you need an explainer video, followed by 150 videos in the form of explainer videos explaining why you need an explainer video. It's too much. Right? Now, I promise this is not what I was thinking when I shaved one of our dogs in the summer. He looks like a total badass. Okay, everything I talk about, you can get here. The slides and any of the tools I mentioned will all be available there. I'll share that again at the end. So, like I said, I did a lot of research because I think marketing teams are broken. They're fundamentally dysfunctional, and I wanted to figure out what the problem is and see what I could do about it. So this is a Venn diagram of frustration between marketers, designers, and copywriters. The biggest point of frustration is right here between marketers and designers. Right? Designers don't really like marketers, and this kind of goes both ways. There's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is because this is how marketers talk to designers. You've probably done this or you've felt it. You know, you stand over someone's back and go like, oh, you know, just make it look pretty, or make it pop, like give it some oomph, or something like that. Or maybe, obviously, make the logo bigger, because that's good creative criticism. 98% of marketers in my research said they are responsible in some way for providing design feedback to designers. The scary part of that is that 87% of them think they're qualified to do so.
Bullshit.
It's total bullshit. I've been on both sides of this for 20 years, and that's extreme overconfidence. It's You can't talk to designers like that. Right, so put your hand up if you're a designer. Okay, so about 35 of you. So the other 465 are wrong. It's true, because a designer is a problem solver. You solve problems every day. It doesn't matter if it's in your job title or description, you're a problem solver. So in essence, you are someone who designs experiences to make things better for our customers. My biggest hero, this guy's amazing. You can take any problem and solve it with whatever is in the room. Acid leak, not a problem. Chocolate bar, thunk, solved. This is my bathroom, and my wife Nicole takes a lot of baths. And if you're down there, you've got this shower curtain, it rubs on your arm, it blocks the light, it's kind of annoying. So how do you fix it? Bungee cord. That is posh as fuck. Look at that. It's like a nice hotel. This is how we should approach our lives, our jobs. If you see something broken, imagine or try to find a way of fixing it. You'll become a better problem solver, which means you'll become a better marketer, a better business person. It's all about empathy, but it's not just empathy for our customers. It's also for one another in our teams. And it's definitely not about copying what other people are doing. This is a really slow loading slide. This is a trend line of all the major design and interaction design trends since the web began. A couple of them are cool. Most of them are terrible. The little angry faces determine how terrible it is. And confirm shaming, that's terrible. So basically, I want to take you back over, I love this screen. Take you back to 2004. Back in 2004, I went to see a movie about wine. And here's a trend line, Google Trends. So Pinot Noir is the red line, the blue is some other kind of wine. And then in 2004, they crossed over and never changed, went different directions. So back then, I went to see a movie about wine. And I'm really mature, so I snuck 2 bottles of Pinot under my jacket to get in there. So we're taking turns pouring it. It's down here. Nope, nothing in there. Nothing in there. And then there's a wine tasting scene. And there's a guy 2 rows in front of me. He goes, "Holy shit, this is amazing. I can smell the wine." Because I wasn't tipping it enough to get in the thing. I was tipping it just enough to go around the neck and all over the floor, all over my feet. There's wine everywhere. And then this scene happens.
Do not sabotage me.
Oh, aye, Captain, you got it.
And if they want to drink Merlot, we're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
Okay, relax, Miles.
That's Merlot, and that's when Sideways came out. Right there. Changed wine forever. 4 years later, confirmed the Sideways effect. I love this quote. It takes 1 tree to make 1,000 matches, 1 match to burn 1,000 trees. That's the impact trends can have, their influence over us. This slide has absolutely 0 value. True fact. And I love, rightly or wrongly, I love judging a book by its cover and wine by its cover. I'll be in the wine store. I'll be like, that's bullshit. I never looked that far down. Oh, that looks good. Oh, it's Merlot. Nope. Put it back. 13 years. I got force-fed some. Someone bought me some as a trick. It's disgusting. Okay, 2016. A really interesting trend started to emerge. Someone shared this with us, and we started putting on Unbounce pages to try and see what would happen, see if we could get it to work. It's really cool. It's called Conversational Form. Agency in Denmark. Basically, a little script that changes a regular form into a conversation, kind of like it looks like a bot or just a conversation. I'm like, this is really cool, especially the way things are becoming more visually humanized, but also there's bots everywhere. So I wanted to see how it worked. I put it on a landing page. I used Hotjar to record the sessions. This happened 5 minutes after I launched it. and it's going a bit crazy. Then there's an error, and you can't close the error, and he's just going, oh, no, this is terrible, it's terrible. This goes on forever. Then he refreshes the page and does it all over again. I'm like, oh my God, I'm ruining this guy's life. It's so bad. But then Nicole, because she's smarter than me, she's sitting next to me. She goes, he put his email address in. You should reach out. Just brilliant. So I did. Bruce, I'm so sorry. I saw what happened. It was so buggy. I fixed it, but that doesn't help you. Here's the content you were trying to get. Again, I'm really sorry, Bruce. 2 minutes later, he replies, best example of taking responsibility of bad experience he's ever seen, in 25 years. Much more likely to engage with Unbounce as a result. Something terrible turned into something wonderful because I had empathy for his experience. But that's not how it should be. We can't be that reactive. So I've come up with a framework, so a collaborative optimization framework for marketing teams, which I call 3D because I like simplicity of that. So here's how it goes. You start with what should you optimize? Because a lot of people think, someone's like, oh, can you make this page better? And you're like, well, that's pretty vague. Where do I start? That's a common question. So there's 2 ways that are good. I'll show this one quickly. No, I won't. It's not there yet. Start a 3D project. I've built this interactive sheet that guides you through a project. Gather evidence, observe as a team, set micrometrics, which is one of the best parts of this, and I'll explain what they are in a little while. Micro design, macro design, and then you test and measure how all of this went. So at the beginning, when you're trying to figure out what you should optimize, if you don't know, if you haven't seen something, I've got to solve that problem. If you're trying to begin making something better, here's one way. So we just launched this landing page analyzer. It's totally free, just really cool. It's very actionable, very helpful. So this is the page I'm going to be talking about. I ran that through it. So you put in what industry you're in, your conversion rate if you know it, if there's a form, some keywords if you're doing that kind of thing, and it will analyze it 10 different ways. It's really cool. Mobile stuff, conversion center design, a bit of SEO. Does it have SSL on it? Message match. If you put keywords in it, it'll look on your page to see how well it represents those. It's really cool. Some initial data from people going through this, 84% of them had images that were way too big and need compression because there's a page speed element in there as well. But it's better than just telling you that it's bad. It will compress all your images and let you download them, so that's cool. 20% didn't have SSL, and half of them had forms. You cannot have a form on your page if it's not HTTPS. You just can't do it. This is really weird what I'm doing right now. Because either Google will block it entirely, or Chrome, and it just won't let you get through unless you hit a little advanced thing, or it'll just have the signal in the address bar. It's really important now that you don't do that. And this many people didn't have open graph tags, but they said they were driving social traffic, which is bad because when you share your post or whatever it is, Google has to guess what image is most relevant, and it just messes things up. So it'll also give you the social graph tags here to help you kind of do that. Anyway, it's cool. My goal, because I was sick of all these trends that don't get validated, I wanted to figure out this one and really put it through the ringer and validate whether this is good for conversion or not. So this is the page, pretty standard landing page. All I'm doing, though, is working on the form, nothing else. The main difference is there's no fields. The labels become questions, and there's only one place to type, right? Just like any kind of chat thing. So it's this versus that. That's the only thing changing. So the next thing you do, you check the playbook. This is the interactive sheet I'm talking about. It has objects down the left, like what you want to optimize, and then different data points at the top. Now, the reason I created this is because there's too much data available, which might seem good, but it's not, because it overwhelms people, and they don't know really where to start. So you choose what you're interested in, conversational form in this case, and it will tell you the sources most likely to give you good information. So you can kind of isolate them. You can choose what you're interested in from the thing, and it will create a project for you. You give it a name, how many people on your team, and their names, and it will create a bunch of worksheets for you. This is all totally free. It's just a tool I built. So data collection, observations, and then micrometrics. And you go through these exercises as a team, and I'll show you how. Now, typically, how marketers work, someone will look at the data and then go, and tell other people something about it. That's not the right way to do it. We need to be looking at it together to really understand it properly. So here's one of the worksheets. You type in, this automatically populates with the types of data that the playbook said you should look at. With sample size, so you don't get it wrong. It'll kind of tell you how much data you need to collect from each of these. And then what you should do with your team is show them where the data comes from. Because if you show your designer or copywriter, oh, this is what Hotjar looks like, that's what a video looks like, then they're going to want to go in there and check it out. Usability Hub, 5-second test, oh, that's what it looks like. When people start to understand where the data comes from and what it looks like, you're going to get different levels of insight from your team. Now you observe it together. So this is a session I ran. We got marketer, designer, and copywriter. And everybody is in that sheet. You have one sheet each for observations, and you kind of write them down. Now, so in there, the data type, and then it will give you an ID automatically. It seems geeky, but it's important because you'll see at the end, when you create your designs, you can refer back to this as evidence when your stakeholder's going, I don't like that. I go, well, we did it for a reason, and here's the reason. Give it a severity. 5's the worst. So here are a couple of examples of what we looked at and how the team interpreted it.
I find it a little bit annoying that every time I need to type, keyboard opens, so all the information goes up, so I need to scroll down, scroll up, scroll down to read, and then respond.
All right, cool.
So what I was saying is when you hit the entry field, the keyboard comes up, and it pushes the questions out of the way, so you don't know what you're answering. So you're constantly going up and down. It's a bad mobile experience. Usability tests. Now, a lot of people are afraid of these because, you have to recruit a bunch of people, it costs a bunch of money, lots of time. It doesn't have to. I slacked 10 people around the company, and I said, do you have 2 minutes? I'm doing a usability test. Do you want to be in? They're like, yes, I love this kind of thing. People do. And this is how you breed a culture of optimization in your company. Just ask. Or I also walked around with my laptop and said, hey, do you have a minute? Ran it. It's easy, because there was only one question in this. It was, you search for a landing page course, you arrived here, find a way to take the course. Only instruction.
Right.
Although the 3 dots kind of represent, like, okay, am I typing or is somebody else typing?
And there's a little animation there. And when you see that, you think someone else is typing to you. That's not happening. Like, A, it's on your side, so it's like you're waiting for yourself to type. So I just took that out. So that's an example of low severity. It's not going to break it, but it does cause some confusion.
I guess I could check it out. Okay, I can't click on what my first name is. Oh, I gotta type it down here.
That's incorrect behavior. It's not an interactive element. It's a question. But it looks like an inline form field label, right? So just clicking in there. So I checked a heat map. 12% of people are doing the same thing, right? That's bad. When you have little mistakes, not always the end of the world, but when you have a lot of incorrect behavior, you can create a bad conversion experience. Now, this is the most interesting part to me, the lead data. Because it might feel like a bot, I was concerned that people wouldn't trust it and wouldn't put real email addresses in there. So I just looked at the raw data. 55% decrease in people putting in branded professional emails, like name at company name, as opposed to Gmail. You want pro emails, because then when you do email marketing, people are at work making business decisions when you're communicating with them. And a massive increase in spam, like fake email addresses. That was my biggest fear. So this is bad, right? I mean, let's go back on the trend line. Captures, they were the first interruptive device. Kind of funny sometimes, but always annoying. But 10 years later, a group of people got together and did reCAPTCHA. Exactly the same, except now this stuff is digitizing old textbooks to bring them to the future for accessibility. That's great, so I don't mind filling in these ones. However, There are some things that happened in the past that should never be brought to the future. Like, it's not what I was doing with Scrappy, I promise. It's a thing. Look. Underwater ironing, what the fuck? And this one, like, unexpected gifts from the animals of Africa. That's not okay. All right, so after all these observations, you have all these sheets full of all these things you saw, and the great thing is you did this together, like everyone's gonna have one, so you have lots of observations in there that you did together. That's the important part, because you then discuss them and you develop this collective understanding. This is where you get to micrometrics. So, bold statement, conversion rates are dead, use micrometrics instead. The reason I say that is that conversion rate by itself is not enough information. It causes problems if that's the only thing you look at. Micrometrics are a more nuanced way of looking at on-page behavior. So, this versus that, right? Conversion rate, I did an initial A/B test to see how it would perform. 8.3%, 8.3%. 90% of A/B tests will do nothing. They'll flatline just because there was not a big enough change in there. And every single person in the history of ever who starts doing A/B testing does it wrong at the start. Everybody. Unless you have someone really talented explaining it to you at the beginning, everyone does it wrong. So with this, what do? Well, there's two options. You go, that sucks, throw it away. Or you go, well, it didn't lose, and it's shinier, let's put that one live, right? There are your two options, both wrong. Because if you look at a micrometric, which is a measurement of an aspect of behavior on the page, like spam emails, 4.6%, 7.9%, right? These pages are not the same. You think they are if you pay attention to this, but they're not. This is how we should be looking at behavior. So you got all this stuff, but the best thing about this now is you have this design challenge for your team. Because you assign these micrometrics, like you saw all these observations, and you go, these three are really broken. We have to fix them, otherwise we can't use this page, right? There are three things we saw. Click on the first question, number of fake emails, and then branded email addresses. Down, down, and up. That's what we want to do to make this page better. This is where you get to micro design. Because you take those things and you try to solve those problems. Instead of just make the page better, it's try and design an experience that makes that thing better, change behavior. Like I said, it's collaborative. So this is Crazy Eights. It's part of Google's sprint model. I prefer 4 because that's a bit much. How it works, your team's there, and you have 1 minute, and you sketch a solution to your problem. When the minute's up, you go to the next square, and you start again. But the brilliant part is you can't build on the first one. It has to be different. It's forced innovation. It's really cool. And then you talk about your ideas as a group afterwards. This is how you build empathy for your teammates, because you go, wow, never would have thought about that. Didn't know a copywriter could do that. Didn't know a designer could think like that. Like I said, I prefer 4. So you can do it in one of 2 ways. You can try and solve each problem with 4 different approaches. So maybe you need bigger underpants to sell more stuff, or maybe your copy is really dry and it needs to be funnier. Just like bacon, pandas make everything better, so maybe you just need some of those. And we all have to be unique, so a sprinkle of that. 4 different ways. Or if you think more holistically, you can sketch the solution to all of them at the same time if you prefer. All right, so how did we do this? Number 1, people clicking on that first question. So one of the problems was it doesn't look like a form. There's no big shiny button, right? We're used to seeing this, a big orange button. So I just colored the entry field orange, draws people attention to, oh, that must be the button, but it says, type your answer here. So people know how they're supposed to interact with it. fake email addresses. Instead of what's your email, I changed it to which email should we send the course link to. So now people go, oh, I have to put a real email address in, otherwise I won't get access. And then third, now I did this research a while ago, but I'd forgotten about it. Just by changing the words in the label, you can get different numbers of professional email addresses. So 41% were pro, like at cimc.com with that. Up to 47 with best email, work email 50, business email 65%. That's a big difference just by changing a word. Now, caution, in terms of how many leads they got, the conversion rate, these three were identical. This one converted slightly lower, so this is what I go for. I go for work email address. That's the best place to go for that. And you start understanding your teammates better when you do this. Then macro design, this is usually where you begin. But now you've got all of this collective observation. You give that to your designer, who can go away and then make a change based on the things you all did together. And like I said before, you label them with the observation IDs so that when your boss or client says, make the logo bigger, move this here, and make it blue, you can say, whoa, easy there, Tiger. Look, we have all this stuff to prove that, oh, these are why we made these decisions. Can really help. And then, of course, you have to measure it. Right? You design these solutions, and you have to run a proper A/B test to see what happens. So I ran it again, 8.3. It was exactly the same thing, but 47% fewer people clicking that first question, so we're changing behavior. 37% fewer spam, and 20% more professional emails. Because we did these little things, observed the micrometrics, and designed solutions for those changing on-page behavior. And when you can change on-page behavior, it's really cool. Because if the page converts better, you're like, kind of think I know why. But when you're doing it like this, it's a much better feeling. So, same conversion rate, this is a better page. And we know why. But you still want the page to convert better, right? I want that to be a really clean test, so I only took the observations that were about the form, not the rest of the page. So now I went back to look at other things to see if I can make the whole thing perform better. These were the comments I saw in the observations. iPad, looks like a book, not a course. Fair point. How many questions? Almost everybody said that. I don't know how long this is going to take because there's no form fields. You don't know how long this conversation is going to go on for. Too much text everywhere. Someone thought I looked trustworthy. I'll take it. So this was my kind of combined sketch of how to solve it. This is a drastically different page, right? But taking all of that observation into account, 17%. Increase in conversions. Now, when you run a test, you should always validate it with two tools. This is an Unbounce, landing page versus landing page. So I like to use this by A/B Test Guide. It will tell you the actual significance. So this is saying it is significant, double-sided. I don't really know what it means, but this is better than that. So do that. And when you work like this, you'll have a much better chance of being successful. All right, so at the beginning, the research I showed you was kind of negative, right? What's frustrating about working with a copywriter, designer, and marketer? So I went back and did some more research. This time I said, what's awesome about working with copywriter, designer, marketer? These are some of the responses. So first, marketers talking about designers. The word magic came up a lot. All right? On the surface, it doesn't seem that, but there's a big level of appreciation there. Superpowers. This is awesome. Let's flip it around. Designers talking about marketers. They're enthusiastic and motivated. Yay, business. Doesn't that make you feel good? Full of ideas. Still some work on that relationship needed. Designers talking about copywriters. They're intelligent. Again, work needed. And finally, they're our symbiotic organism. We die without them. A little dramatic, but cool. All right? If you use this process, you can uncover these true feelings, and you just have a team that works better together. Because the frustration at the beginning, you only usually see that in exit interviews when people tell you why they're leaving. So this can help you make your marketing team work better, because data-driven design leads to data-driven empathy and then results. And hopefully, it will turn team frustration into appreciation with the cheesiest slide ever. Thank you very much. Everything's there.